jam session again. And this time, Aaron Battalion tells me about Ethereum. And that really caught my attention. Because I remember thinking Bitcoin was really cool and amazing and obviously has gone on to become what it became. And I thought of it as like, okay, that needs to become a central brand, like a Nike, like gold, like God, like school, like a diploma. That's a Harvard, that's a brand game. And if it wins that brand game, that's gonna win. Aaron Battalion is the reason that I bought crypto so early. He was the former CTO of Living Social, but he's a true technologist, like a real technical nerd. And in a jam session, quite a long time ago, I listened, didn't say a goddamn word for 2 hours as they talked about Bitcoin. It was the first time I'd heard of it. And it was just so over my head for a couple reasons. Unlike you, my friend, even to this day, my ability, my knowledge, even my passion around currency and let's say financier and financial is quite low. It doesn't grip me. It is not my deep passion or understanding. It doesn't come natural to me. Even like the concepts of central banking or trading currencies, it doesn't come natural to me. And I don't love it. But I was very fascinated by this concept of decentralized servers. It was so profound at the time. So that happened. I bought some, maybe 6 or 7 coins. I can't even explain how low it was. It was just nothing. Forgot about it. Came back maybe a year or two later, maybe 2 years later, jam session again. And this time, Aaron Battalion tells me about Ethereum. And that really caught my attention. Because I remember thinking Bitcoin was really cool and amazing and obviously has gone on to become what it became. And I thought of it as like, okay, that needs to become a central brand, like a Nike, like gold, like God, like school, like a diploma. That's a Harvard, that's a brand game. And if it wins that brand game, that's gonna win. And it, by the way, it went on to do that.
Yeah.
Ethereum, I was like, oh, building on top of it and like the scale. And really I had these almost like Apple versus Android feelings about it. I remember thinking, right? Ooh, Bitcoin can go on to be Apple and Ethereum could go on to being Android, like a layer for everything else. And so I was very bullish on that and I bought a bunch of that. I remember right around that same time, my brother AJ and I got a bunch of Dogecoin, for free or for 1/100 of a cent. And that was like a period of being hot on it. And then I would only check in when a tweet or an article for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years caught my attention. I was not going, I was very deep in my business. I was very deep in content and social media arbitrage. It wasn't where I was spending my energy. CryptoKitties caught my attention later on. And I was like, that really, in the same way that I'm very hot now, the same reason I'm like, ooh, collectibles and trading.
Well, also because, and I think what's really interesting about your story is you didn't come at this from finance. You came at it seeing different stuff. And I think this is
correct.
Important because this is, I think, where the future lies. So CryptoKitties, you see that, you're a marketing guy, and you start to think.
And I start to think, I know why people will buy that. If this becomes like Bitcoin, the difference between an NFT and, let's say, a currency is there's a social signaling and a need to communicate it that is by default. When you say to somebody, when you drive a Mercedes-Benz or you wear a Rolex or you wear a $4,000 pair of sneakers, you don't have to say something to say something.
Yeah.
When you're sitting on $4 million or $40 million of Bitcoin, you have to say, hey, I have, and that puts you in a precarious spot. That's why cash is different than assets. And I understood that, and that came natural to me.
Yeah, because humans love social signaling. It's a core part of being a human.
It's the corest. Like to me, communication is what human beings are completely predicated on. It's why I bet the farm on social media. I knew that there was no way we were gonna let it be a fad. And it's the same way that I know that NFTs will not be a fad. Now, much like social, much like Internet 95, when I first got in and launched WineLibrary.com in 96 and 97, which was crazy early to launch a liquor store's website. This is my third cycle back to pattern recognition in 10,000 hours. My biggest concern is that I know 98, maybe even 99% of the current projects of NFTs will be negative investments for the people that view them as long-term investments.
Yeah.
I think that I think that it's not sustainable around supply and demand. And we haven't even seen the greatest intellectual properties enter the space properly. We've not seen Pokemon go properly yet. We haven't seen Star Wars go properly yet. Disney go properly, right? And so, and by the way, not to mention most sports outside proper football, a little bit with Sorare, and obviously the NBA with Top Shot, but we still don't have the NFL. We have a baseball product on wax, which, you know, is okay.
And in soccer, they've got a bit on Chili's and that Socios project.
But, you know, music. I mean, where's Jay-Z's first NFT or Elvis Presley? So we are in the dawn of all of this, and people are spending a lot of money on tokens, on intellectual property that has a very high risk outcome. You know, I've jumped into a couple of projects recently, more because I just want to support more diversity in the NFT space. You know, I'm really enjoying some of the female-led projects, some of the minority-led projects. I think it's important because collectively, you know, I get an incredible high, my friend, on the email of, hey, you showed me this world. Teaching someone how to fish has been my life.
Best.
I enjoy it. And so, you know, it's tough though with something this new because you're yelling at one thing, hey, this might be the big thing for the next 2 decades, 99% of these things are going to fail. So what's the entry point? You know, it's a very tricky game.
I mean, I totally agree. So what gives you the bravery to jump and say, I'm going to try this out? Because that first step is the dangerous step because, as you say, it's so nascent right now that you don't know where it's going to go. We've all got some ideas and we'll get into that. But why did you take the first step or how?
Well, lack of fear. You know, I think with VeFriends, it was right before Valentine's Day, I remember. So it was like maybe the 13th or the 12th. And I just had that eureka moment. I felt at that point I was ready. I knew enough. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Dutch auction, on-chain, you know, utility-based heavily to hedge. You know, the fact that I wanted to build a 40-year intellectual property, that I'm going to do cartoons and video games and sweatshirts and toys. And, you know, I jumped in because I knew I wasn't going to lose. And more importantly, much more importantly, I knew that I was willing to die before I would let the people that invested in it early on lose. I knew that I was willing to shut down everything. That if, God forbid, I didn't see something or something was off, that I was willing to stake my entire reputation on the project. And that is why I did it, because I knew that I would go to zero, have a far less fancy life, to rest assured that the people that went in won.
Because this is a key point that I've got with the space is many people come into the NFT space to extract value. They think they've got a community. The first thing they do is that, as opposed to having any utility or any community value proposition, they just take money out of the community. And we saw that with like the Kings of Leon and a few of these. Suddenly it collapses, right? Because what you've just done is take money from the community, give nothing in return, apart from giving one single person a product. And the idea is you have to build value. You have to build real meaningful community value for it to have true value.
That's right. I think that I was very comfortable with some of the cynicism from the OG NFT community when I announced it or when I launched it, because I understood I didn't have the audacity to think that they should have spent 20 or 30 or 15 or 10 hours on who I am, what my track record was, how I've done things. You know, I'm stunned by people's anger. You're not entitled to people putting in that kind of work. And I knew that it would take 5 hours, 10 hours for somebody to really understand that over the last 15 years, all I've done is the reverse. All I've done is given more to my community than I've asked for in return, which is an incredible formula for an NFT project.
That's been your business model.
It's been my business. And it's been based on this concept of 51-49. I have always felt that I was talented at such a level that if I was able to get 49% of the value of any interaction, that I would have plenty. And so it's an incredibly simplistic mindset, but it's allowed me to have a far better reputation with anybody who's actually ever interacted with me than the perception. And that's what one can only hope for. Too many people walking around Earth right now who have good reputations on social media, but not with the people that actually interact with them. And I love what my reputation is with the people that interact with me. And I knew that I was going to bring that to the table. And I knew what is happening now was going to happen, which was 60 days, 100 days, 600 days, 1,000 days later, one by one, the individuals that took a shit on me or who spit at it, you know, if they had the humility and if they were gracious, would come out and say, and I've been incredibly flattered. I'll say this, it means the world to me when a stranger shits on me and says I'm the worst. I don't even hear it, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, and I don't get the accolades either. When people think I'm the greatest, I don't get high, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, when somebody comes out and says, I thought you were a fraud, or this was a rug pull, or a cash grab, or you were just another one of those, and I've had a little bit of time to look into this, wow, or kudos, or hat tip, it means a lot. It means a lot to win someone's respect who has a bad feeling towards you, and I enjoy that feeling.